Hey everyone, now I can see myself, so I guess everyone can see me and hear me now. Can you guys hear me? As always, I will need you guys to confirm that everything is working on your hand. If that's the case, just let me know so I'm aware if things are working as intended or not. Yeah, welcome everyone to this stream. It's a tiny bit particular today on my end because uh, you cannot hear it right now, but there's like a massive storm in the southwest of France. It stopped literally like 5 minutes ago, the heavy rain. So I hope we won't have any struggle with the stream. But if you see at one point, that it gets a lot darker than usual, that's because there's literally no outside light at the moment. It's only the light bulb on top of my head. And yeah, I hope that we won't be disturbed by the sound of the rain when it starts again. I see that we have Kim, we have Matrima in the chat. Welcome, guys. Uh, we will be starting in just a second, pretty much as usual. We will be starting today with the easy and medium fight. It's gonna be a rather quick one, and then we'll move to the more advanced and hardcore mode. Just waiting a few more minutes, making sure that people that wanted to join can catch up, and then we will start. Also, because it's been pushed literally a few minutes ago to the game, well, a bit more than a few minutes now, but the compensation for the issues we've met with the release earlier this week has been pushed. It's more of a less of a compensation per se because it's never going to compensate fully the time that people were locked out, but more as an apology gesture for these issues that we met with this new version. We offered to everyone a Storm era wagon. Yeah, it's a small gesture. It's just to acknowledge that there's been some mistakes and issues there, and mostly we were glad that we were able to get everyone back into the game rather quickly. I know that from the player's perspective, it was not quick, obviously, but to get a hotfix released and to get the version released to 100% in the store in this amount of time when it's actually an issue that requires a new client version. It's quite a challenge to get it out in roughly a day, which is what we managed to do. Not ideal, but glad to see that we're able to do something there. Okay, so without further ado, we will be starting. I'm just rechecking that the Fight Night event is on for this account. That's the case. And so we should be starting with Anturium, then we will have Mario, we have the alternative account from Aniviper, we have Abraxas PT, we have Anequek, we have Ladok, Phoenix, Balek, Maldwin, and that should be the first players we will be facing. So let's go. Okay, so yeah, it was a tiny bit stressful to prepare this stream because I didn't know if the storm was gonna stop a little. I'm quite glad it did because really like 15, 20 minutes ago, it was completely crazy outside. It's super weird for the southwest of France to have this kind of weather in the end of June already. We really didn't have the summer yet. What worries me is that apparently most of the weather experts predict a super hot summer. So I think we'll have a super strong heat wave in July and August, which I would definitely gladly do without. But that's there's not much we can do about it. So yeah, that's just the way it is. At least for now, the rain stopped, so I'm not gonna be uh, worried too much with this. Okay, guys, as usual, if you have any questions about the game, you know the deal. You can ask me anything you can think of, and we'll try to answer to all your questions as the live stream goes on. One thing that is a bit particular with today is that we have only 80 players that will make it to the hardcore challenge, simply because there were way too many people that applied for this week, which is kind of cool in a way, because that means um, we should be able to get uh, we have quite a few people that were interested in joining, and that's always a positive thing. But that also means that we need to have a recorded fight night for everyone else. Again, it's not necessarily a massive problem, but just something to bring up as well. And so, yeah, also for those that are just a bit surprised to see me on a Thursday. The reason why we did it on Thursday is because yesterday I had a medical appointment to the dentist, to be quite transparent, around that time, so I couldn't do it on Wednesdays. I would have probably be able to do it like an hour later than usual, but I couldn't know until the appointment was over whether or not I would make it in time. So I decided that would make a lot more sense to just directly plan it for Thursday, which is what we've done today. Okay, so then outside of that, there are quite a few interesting things we will be discussing and talking about today. The first one is obviously related to um, Hey, outsider, welcome. The first point I wanted to bring up is related to the achievements and the new visual effects on portraits. So the new achievements, the winning streak achievements, I would like to re-explain to everyone how it works for those that didn't see it. The way it works is that if you have 3 wins in a row, it's gonna trigger a visual effect on your portrait. If you have 6 wins in a row, this effect is stronger and different. And if you have 9 wins in a row, you have the best of these portraits animation. But at the same time, the way this winning streak works is that it also helps you progress through an achievement that we added for winning streaks. And what will happen is every time you have 3 wins, so anytime you trigger either of the different um, either of the different visual effects. Sorry, I was losing my words there a little. Every time you trigger one of those effects, you are getting 1 point towards the event. So this means if you have 60 wins in a row, you're gonna get 20 points, because that's 60 divided by 3. But what it means as well is if you have 3 wins in a row, then a loss, then 3 wins in a row, then a loss, etc., you're getting points each and every time. You don't need to have 100 or 1,000 or 50,000 wins in a row to finish the achievement. I don't remember how strong is the last layer of this achievement, but it's quite high. And I guess some people might have been scared at the beginning, like, hey, do I need to have like thousands of wins in a row, because it's almost impossible. No, you don't need to do it this way, pretty much. So that's one bit I wanted to clarify. So yeah, outsider, you're saying that your account is last again. Uh, yeah, I'm sorry about that. The weird part is that even though we only have 23 accounts, if I remember correctly, for the easy fight, I still shuffled it a few times just to to make sure. And even with that, apparently your account is last. I'm sorry about that. I don't know why it's the case, but definitely something uh, we can at least have a little laugh about. Um, or do you mean that it's going to be last in the advanced mode? In any case, both of them are randomized to a certain extent. Uh, but yeah, there are two things there. I do a randomization for the advanced mode before going into the tool that we use for the fight night, because I need to draw the players that will make it to the fight night and the ones that will make it to the recorded fight night. So when I do this, I basically have no other option than to take everyone that is in and do this randomization in a good old Excel sheet. And then when we go into the tool, I already have a list of players that will participate, and then I'm randomizing it again. This second randomization in the tool, I remember that already in the days of Crucible, he was telling me that this randomization tool, for whatever reason, it was not fully random. They couldn't really understand why, but some players would always end up in the first spots and some on the bottom. They couldn't really understand what was going on there. So that's something we inherited, but you should feel it less because I'm doing a randomization already first. So yeah, but as you said, outsider, if you have many accounts, obviously you are more likely to be last, but that would also mean you're more likely to be first, right? Where you in the, did you have any accounts in the first ones? Will we ever have a new raid boss, Flamer Gamer? Uh, yes and yes. Yes, there will be new clan red boss, but what is planned at the moment is that there will be a new global red boss when we leave the beta. This global red boss, I think I already teased it a little the last time, but um, the only thing I can say is that it's not going to fight only on its side of the field. That's the at least that's what we're working towards at the moment. When this boss is released, um, we still have a few global red boss that we want to have, and then over a bit of time, we will start to have brand new. Um, I think we just finished. Sorry, guys, we just finished the easy fight, so I'm gonna stop it there. Yeah, I let it run for two more accounts, but that's okay. Yeah, so we're gonna take care first of the um, global red boss, having a few of them in there, and the plan is then to take the oldest of the global red boss, rework them a little, and use them in the clan reds. So what you might be seeing in the future is that there will be new global red boss coming in, and after it's been there for a little time, quite some time as a global red boss, it would then come into the clan reds. And at the same time, that would mean we could potentially, on the longer run, reuse some of the clan red boss as global red boss if we see a way to rework some of their mechanism to make it a bit more exciting. But that's the goal. So yes, there should be new red bosses and new global red bosses. I'm not sure that for now that there will be brand new designs that are only meant to be brand new clan reds. At the moment, it would probably be the other way around. Okay, guys. So let me just close the easy fight, and we'll go to the hardcore one because I know that's what most of you guys are there for anyway. So let me switch the account. And see that's the free wagon that I was mentioning. So at least you guys can see it. For those that didn't see, you are getting this as a compensation apology gesture, if you will, for the issues that happened early this week with the release of the new version that blocked a fair amount of Android players, mostly outside of the game. Okay, the event is live. Everything is ready. We should be able to roll. And we'll start with KLG with the little ghosts. Then we have Crater, we have Tsa, we have Alpha Noob, Gorf, Gostin, again with the little ghosts. Sam, we have Orange Reefers, Caesar, we have the bomb, I guess. We have Veringer, we have Dead Ripping Ood, Juice, Heavy Style, Karun, and I'm gonna stop there because it's like already 15 players or so, but that gives you an idea of what is currently coming. Um, okay, guys, do you have any question? Otherwise, I will start uh, bringing some details about what is to come because there are some stuffs coming already with the next season that I can mention to you. It's something we already discussed that would come, and now I can share the details with you if you want. Just checking if there's any. I don't see any new questions. Just checking that the that everything updated correctly. But yeah, no more question for the time being, which means I can give you some details about what's to come. So we have reworked the leagues a little, which was long overdue. So what is going to happen there is that you are going to have more leagues, but we have not added just leagues at the top. What we've done is that we have reworked the progression through the leagues, and we have added two new leagues. One that is after the Masters levels, but before the Legend one, if I remember the names correctly. So there will be one in between that is called the Grandmaster. Then you have the Legend, and we have a new league for the top guys called Godlike. And that will be the latest step. The Legend one also now has more steps in it, given that we've added at least a league on top. But reworking the leagues does not just mean we're adding new leagues. What we've done is we reworked as well the progression within the leagues so that it is slightly faster to progress through the leagues at the beginning and slightly harder at the end. At the moment, it was very linear, which means for players that just entered the leagues, it was super tough at the beginning. And now it's going to be easier at the beginning, and then it will um, it will get tougher and tougher, which is the point, because that's also where you're getting the, the the most competition at the top of the leagues. The other thing important to mention with the leagues is that now we've added more titles and portraits and stuff like that for reaching the top of the leagues. We've also added more premium, not necessarily premium, just portal keys because there's more use for them at the moment with the uh, global red boss and the red bosses. So the rewards have been reworked a little, etc. One thing though that has been changed is that the way the rewards were working was preventing for certain time adding new leagues. Why? Because you were collecting every single time all the rewards for the previous leagues, regardless of the fact that you were in a specific league. Because you were collecting all of the rewards every time, that was preventing us from adding more leagues and reworking the rewards because some players would simply get an insane amount of resources. And that means adding new stuffs on top. It would both need to be more interesting for them to chase it. But since they were getting so much along the way already just by logging in on day one, it didn't really make much sense, right? So what we've done is that now you're only going to collect the rewards for the league that you're in and the ones you progress in, right? So I don't know if I'm in at the reset of the season, I'm in League Silver. I'm not going to collect the reward for bronze. I'm going to collect for silver and gold and, Master 1, 2, and 3, and whatever I'm progressing in. But because in the past, the reset would only get you down one step at the time, if I remember correctly, that would only mean you would only get to, if you were at the top, you would only get to collect one reward, which was not ideal. So the way we've done it is that now the reset will get you back a bit more, but which allows you to collect the rewards a bit more along the way, but you will get an easier progression through those leagues, and you will get better rewards as you progress as well. So you will be able to see all of the details of that when it comes in on Monday. As usual, just like when we did the change the um, for the season pass and the season path. So I always find it tricky that it's called the season path and the season pass. For someone like me, meaning someone French, it's super tough to make the difference when I speak between path and pass. I need to exaggerate it for people to hear the difference when I speak. So I'm sorry if it's confusing at times. But when we changed the season path, hey Yosif, welcome to the stream. Um, it was a similar change to what we're doing here, with more steps in the way, with more challenges to collect, but also a difference in the way you're going to collect rewards, etc. So, in all transparency, some people will get a bit less than they used to, some people will get a bit more than they used to, but the way it's working should be more fair and should be valuing progressing through the leagues rather than just waiting to collect everything on day one and not do anything for 2 weeks, but just making sure you maintain yourself into the league you're in, or those kind of things. So that's roughly what we've been working towards. But as always, with these kind of changes, we will be very careful to your feedback, and you can, in a way, consider this initial season with this change to be a bit of a first step. If we see that things are working well as they are, then that's perfectly fine. That's what we hope. But if there's any adjustment needed at specific parts, at specific leagues, we um, we will of course consider this feedback and see how we can further adapt it. The way we've done it is really by looking at the players' distribution of leagues, and really the intent is that people try to get out of bronze, out of silver, out of gold a lot more. And with the new progression, it should be faster to go from bronze to silver, from silver to gold, etc. Which will also mean that a lot more players should be in the league that correspond to their level a lot faster, which is also the point that we were working towards. And for those that would purposely say, hey, you know what, I don't care, I just want to stay in bronze so that I can crash players that are way below me, etc. I mean, okay, first of all, that's a bit boring, but if you want to do it, that's your call, but you're not going to get rewards, right? Um, Emma Tremar, has anything been done to resolve the wall at um, 3750? So I guess you're talking about when you arrive at that point and basically you are meeting up with a lot of inactive players that went down to this league and are still in the matchmaking, right? Um, for the time being, right now, we haven't made much changes because we need to see the new player distribution. But this is a problem we've discussed with the team, and we are willing to look at taking those players out of the matchmaking faster than they used to. We simply need to have at least one or maybe 2 seasons. Well, let's put it this way, we need to have one season that runs where everyone is giving us rather positive feedback on the new progression and such before we can see the players distribution and decide how we want to act on it exactly. But it's something we've put on the table, and it shouldn't be too complicated for us to act on it. We will simply change the matchmaking so that basically you get out of the matchmaking faster. Yeah, so we talked about the suggestion to have a debuff after 1 week, etc. For the moment, the main concern is the feasibility. It's simply that technically, to do it will be it's not impossible. It can be done, but it's just that it would be quite a big effort to implement these mechanics in the game. And so it will most likely be a lot faster to just say, hey, you know what, people that have been inactive for, I think right now, to be out of the matchmaking completely, you need almost 6 months of inactivity, if I remember correctly. If you already change that to, I don't know, a month of inactivity to be out of the matchmaking, you're already changing drastically the 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 situation. And at the same time, you're not necessarily impacting too much players that would come back, because the problem with the mechanic that you describe is that the way we could do it within the game with a okay development effort would be to do it based per season. So to say, when there's a reset, you get down to another league, and once you get down to another league and you get a debuff, right? Uh, if we have to do it so that it basically also reactivates to 100% strength as soon as you get back in, that means it's another layer of development that needs to be implemented. Overall, just to explain a bit um, what you were describing, I think because it's interesting as well to think about it in terms of development. Uh, an idea like the one you described, there's a few layers to it. The first one is we need to have a global debuff. At the moment in the game, there's nothing that will debuff all of your strength, right? You have stuff that will decrease your melee strength, your range strength, your defenses, etc. But something that simply decreases everything you have, that's really tough. Just a parenthesis for those that didn't see it. You can see the effect of the winning streak right now on my account for those that haven't seen it yet. Um, so yeah, as I was saying, that's a first layer, is you need to add this mechanism that does not exist yet in the game, which is a global buff or debuff. Then you need to apply a system so that it will link inactivity to a debuff system with a system that grows organically and grows organically at a specific frequency. And then you need the third layer, which is as soon as the player is back, it's fully reactivated. And on top of that, you need all of this to only be applied to one game mode. And all of that together, that's why it makes it quite tricky to go that road. But yeah, as you were saying, removing inactive players faster should definitely be helpful there. Yeah, don't worry. I was moving on. The reason why I explained a bit this is because I think it's a good exercise in general. I'm not a developer, but and or a game designer, but working with those guys for so many years, now when a player suggests to me a feature or something like this, I instantly see, okay, there will be at least those steps, right? And then, of course, it gets a lot more complicated than that, because then, the guys, they will talk to me about different technology terms that I will have no idea about. But at least that's the kind of things I can explain a little. And I think it's interesting for everyone to understand why sometimes it feels like we're always saying everything is difficult. It's not that simple, but often the ideas that seem simple on paper are not that simple. And sometimes we have suggestions that players think are super tough, but that end up being potentially easy to do. It's rare, but when this happens, I will be honest, when this happens, we still pretend that it's super tough and that we struggled a lot so that you guys feel like we put a lot of efforts. But you know what I mean? Sometimes it does happen that something ends up being a bit easier than we initially thought it would be. It's rare, but it can happen. So yeah, this is what is coming on Monday already. There will be an official announcement with the main details that I shared with you already tomorrow. That will be shared with the entire community, and yeah, from there on, we will be moving on. Yosef, yeah, you were asking, so what is going on? I was talking about the leagues rework. To sum it up, I mean, to have the full explanation, you'll be able to rewatch the stream and have the explanation. But we are adding two new leagues. They are not added to the top of the existing one. There's one that is added at the top and one that is added between the Master and the Legend. So Master 4 and Legend levels. In between, there will be Grandmaster 1. And there will be, on top of the Legends League, there will be a godlike uh, tier. I hope we won't ever have to go above godlike, because I don't know what godlike, what would be above godlike. But yeah, that's the way it's gonna look. And outside of reworking the rewards, yes, I can answer to that right away, Yosef. We are reworking quite a few things there. First of all, well, I'm kind of re-explaining it, but that's okay. First of all, we are um, adding rewards since we are adding more steps, but we've also reworked the progression, meaning that from bronze to the top, the progression was very linear. Pretty much, you needed the same amount of trophies to move from one league to the next one, etc. Now it's gonna be less linear and more I won't say exponential, because that would mean the last levels are insanely high, which is not the case. But it's more progressive. That's the word I was looking for. So the first league will be a lot faster to go through, and the hardest one will be a lot more challenging. What we also added is a different rewarding system, meaning that so far, when the season would reset, you would get all the rewards for all the leagues up to the one you were in. The problem with this system is that it was preventing us from adding more leagues, because the issue is that to make new leagues interesting, we had to make the rewards super good, because people were already getting a lot of stuffs on the day of the reset, right? At least for those that were in the highest leagues. So what we've done is that we made it so that on the reset, you will not just go down by one um, league. You will go down, depending on your rank, on the league you are, it will be either 2 or 3 leagues down, or one league down if you were just in silver, obviously. But depending on where you are, you will go down a bit further, which will allow you to collect more rewards, because now you will only be collecting rewards all the way, basically, from the moment, from the league you're in. So that means if after the reset you end up in the gold league, you're getting all the rewards from gold onwards. You're not getting the silver and the bronze. If you end up in the legend, well, you cannot end up in legend, I guess. You can end up in Master 4 on Grandmaster, then you get it. Hey, those guys. Yeah, you're saying that you would like to have something like this on console as a one-time purchase. Um, that's always a debate. Uh, I don't think there's a good answer to it. Obviously, as any player, it feels to us that having a game that we can buy in one go is always better. The truth, though, is that for such a game, the main element that drives the game is everything that gets added along the way. So that means the first versions of Battle Legion, even once all the big features were there, etc., it's a super cool game, but I'm not sure people would still playing it after all those years if it had only 20 units that you could level up to level 20, and no artifacts, or even if you add the artifacts, if your artifacts would stop at I don't know, level 3, and that's it, there's nothing else, that would be a super cool game. Most likely it would be a game that would only have a shortened lifespan. The reason why those games get going for so long is because we add content regularly, and also because of the social bonds that people are creating within their clans. And the thing is, clan mechanism, they work thanks to events, and events of this kind, of the kind like the clan raids, etc., they simply don't work as great on console, simply because people have different habits of gameplay. It's not true of all games. You can have games that are heavily reliable on relying on events and are adding a lot of content, but usually you will find that those games, those console games, have a model that ends up being pretty close to the ones you see on mobile. If you take, for example, the one game that is based on events and new skins and new characters all the time, the biggest one would probably be Fortnite. And I cannot think of a game being more based on the mobile gaming mechanism than Fortnite, because it's only in-game apps, in-apps purchases that make the game viable. So I think it's a good debate to have. Ultimately, it's a different type of games, and I think most of the console games could never work as a mobile game because there would be something that people spend 10 hours on and be done with it, or 20 or whatever, let alone the technical limitations, obviously. And the type of games that you develop on mobiles are super cool, could be interesting on a console, but usually what would happen is that after few months of playing it, you would be done with all the content. And it's precisely this habit that we have with our phones to open specific games on a daily basis, twice a day, for events, for our peers in the social interactions that we have with them, etc., that are allowing those games to thrive. So yeah, but I get your point. It's a fair point. It's brought up literally on every mobile game ever. I can fully understand it, um, but it's a different model. And oftentimes, which I think is also what you were bringing up here, the idea that the game would be a lot cheaper if it was on console. Uh, that's partly true, but you also have to remember that for 90% of our players, at least, or even 95, it is way, way, way cheaper than a console game, because most of our players will never invest money in Battle Legion. They only are free to play players. And that's okay. We are happy to have free to play players as well. Um, but that's the biggest difference, is if we were a console game, everyone would have to pay to start with. And that means to get those players in would have been a lot harder as well. So yeah, it's a different system, and most likely you would not have a team of developers working for so long after the release of the game if it wasn't still bringing revenues thanks to the continuous improvement. If everyone could buy it, you would get money in the first weeks and months, and then that's pretty much it for such a game. So that's why if you look at smaller studios or independent studios on console, their economic model is completely different. Their economic model is the to get the how do you call it? The plan is simply to get money from your sales that will reimburse the cost of development for your game, and ideally get a bit extra that you can invest for the development of the upcoming one. That's usually how it rolls. In our industry, it's a different economy altogether. From my perspective, I don't think it's necessarily better. And actually, we see a lot of console games now following the trends of the mobile gaming. Not sure it's that good either, because I think there's a space for those two things. But I ultimately, just to close up this debate, I just feel like a lot of players now I've been used to having mobile gaming as a hobby, and they understand that it's not the same as a console experience. And the other way around, the console players start to understand that it's not because it's a mobile game that it's brainless and stupid. That's a different thing. Um, Flamer Gamer, you're saying that you're not fighting in the stream. If that's the case, that would mean you're going to be part of the recorded fight night, and that will be recorded tomorrow around the same time. Usually, for the last few months, I've been able to take everyone into the stream, but today we had 143, I think, players just for the hardcore. Um, just for the hardcore mode, so it was just too much. The last time we ran it with this amount of players, it ran for 2.5 hours, and it's simply too long for a stream. So I had to go back to the recorded fight night just to allow everyone to be part of. So yeah, if you're not on the fight night right now, that means you're most likely in the list for the recorded fight night. And it will be recorded tomorrow and posted most likely on Monday on YouTube directly. Matrima, you're asking if there's still a premium pass in the work to eliminate most and all ads. Yes, but right now we're first focused on fixing the problems with ads before we bring that in. Um, Simply because we want that to be out of the way. But that's still something we plan to do. Um, I haven't heard too much about this in the past few weeks because there's a lot in the way. But the last I've heard of it, the idea was to include that in a second layer of the season pass. So that means you would have the season pass, which is the regular one, and you would have a premium season pass, if you will, that would give you more rewards than the current season pass, maybe more cosmetics, and that would also bypass the ads. That's the last I've heard of it would be to bundle it as part of the season pass altogether. Yosef, you wanted to ask, do I know who was the first and when uh, who used the idea of pass and premium pass in games? You mean in the industry in general? It's super old in the industry because it was there at least from the first MMOs. At least. So my guess would be something like Fantasy Star Online or something like this. It's at least this old. Maybe StarCraft 1 when they first got their online mode release. It's something this old. It was there way before the mobile industry. It was there on all the Flash games as well, like all the Flash games of the 2000s, the games that you would play on your browser. They were already having season passes for quite a while. So my wild guess is that it's probably dating back to something like Fantasy Star Online. Um, that would be my guess. That's a good question, actually. Let me check that. Uh, I'm checking that at the same time because I think it's a fun question to ask. Trying to see if there's yeah, okay. No, that will take a lot more time to find really who was the first one to create that. But something like this, so basically a subscription-based system existed in the 2000s already. Usually, it started, as I was saying, as a subscription base. So what I remember from the 2000s would be on browser games, which the browser games, the Flash games, etc., were the ancestors of the mobile industry. That's actually where I started before mobile industry really took off. I was working with browser and Flash games, and on those games, or even Facebook games. Oh, that was bad. Uh, but yeah, on those games, really often you add what we called the um, the subscription system. So you would basically have the advantage of a season pass or something like this every 2 weeks, or sometimes it was a monthly system which will grant you rewards for an entire month. But the subscription system, as the name indicates, was really based on a subscription. So you would register for it and you would get debited every month until you would say stop. You could stop at any time, um, but that's the way it worked. And from there came the idea of having more of a seasonal pass where you would make your events linked to a season, um, which really pushes the players to come back every season to get the new content, to get something exciting going on. And on top of that, you link that kind of subscription models to the same system. The main difference being that this time around, obviously, you're fully free to buy it or not buy it whenever you want. The subscription model was a bit more restrictive because, of course, you could stop it whenever you wanted, but there was this idea that it's beneficial to you if you take it like for 3 months, or that you would always often get like, hey, here's a discount if you take a subscription for 6 months or something like this. That's not something that exists in the mobile industry much. I think there are still some subscription models here and there, but usually it's more based on the season, um, and it's more of something where we let people go. I think we let people really pick when they want to take it or not. Um, Partly because that's what the stores want us to do, but also because it's better from the revenue perspective. To be honest, it simply makes a lot more sense because the the players, if they have to purposely trigger it every 2 weeks, they will be way more active if they have to buy the season pass every time. If you could buy like a yearly pass that would activate for every season without thinking about it, you would still have some people that would be less active at for some seasons or such, even though they paid for that advantage simply because they paid for it 8 months ago, and they don't feel the same urge to really make the best out of what they purchased. When you buy a season pass, there's this feeling like, I need to make the best out of it. I bought it, it's for 2 weeks. Let's make sure I'm getting the best rewards. Let's make sure I'm going as high as I can in the leaderboards, etc. So that's the philosophy behind it. I didn't think I was gonna give you guys a crash course on game mobile game design. I'm not a game designer, as a reminder, guys. So this is more like the knowledge I get from those years working on this field. But I'm not an expert. My words are not, you know, are not wiser than anyone else on the topic. Just giving you my understanding of this topic overall. Okay, guys, do you have other questions? Other things you would like to know? Other things you would like to ask about the industry or about Battle Legion? Right? You don't need to focus on game design. Madrima, you're asking how are some of the other announced concepts coming along? So for the merchants, it's still something that the last I've heard of it is still that they would like to get it somewhere this summer. My guess would be later in the summer because the first focus for big things is still the uh, the implementation of the global red boss with the last changes to come. And then Clan Wars will only start second half of the year once second half of the year, it's almost there, but you know what I mean, after the summer. So that's mostly when you will get some news about it. I would say before September, you probably won't get much more information on what would be the design for Clan Wars, etc., because we want some of those stuffs to be out yet. What I can say is out of the stuff that are coming, so there's the leagues on Monday. The journey levels rework is almost over as well. I think we talked about that quite a few times already, but we are adding new journey levels, but we're also changing the way you progress through the journey levels, um, mostly because we don't want this system to be the way it currently is, where basically players wait for 3 weeks or 3 months, then they do 20, 30 levels, and then they forget about this change. No, the progress will not be changed for the journey levels. If you are at the top at the moment, you will only be playing the new levels that we're adding. But the new levels that we're adding, you will have the new system as well, which means you will have to use that. I don't know how they called that currency, but it will be similar to the red bosses, if you will. You will have a certain currency to use, and if you fail at the level that you're trying, then you will be offered to wait until this energy or whatever the currency is fills up again, or you will have the option to watch an ad or to buy if you really want. If you cannot wait, you can buy your way through the energy to get there. But the idea mostly is that people will come back to the journey level every day itself. Um, And yeah, and then after that, there's the few changes that still need to be done to the global red bosses. So you know that we want the global clan rank in the global event. We still need the leaderboards to be fully fixed. And what's the other issue? The other point we wanted to get sorted. Yeah, that's the winning loss of the events that we will probably get out of the way. Um, what it means is that basically you will get the best of the two sets of rewards, no matter what, because otherwise it gets in the current states it's a bit too confusing on that end. Um, Flamer Gamer, you're asking, you're saying that we need an era where everyone has maxed stuffs. Um, So something where everyone is maxed on everything, right? I don't think we can do that on an era because, well, you have to realize that this would mean we'd make no money on that era or a lot less. But that can be something that happens in a form of challenges, if you will. We were talking about that the last time that this is something we brainstorm and um, might be something we could do on the longer run. Yes, Matrama, as an event, what we could be doing is an event where you fight against another player, and if you're able to win, you progress through the levels of that event. And so that means if you win your first fight, you move to the second fight, and you're only gonna match against players that won the second one. Then you move to the third step where you only meet against players that win until that point, etc. And you only have a certain amount of tries to do the entire event. If you're out of tries, either you want to purchase more tries or you're out, which makes it mostly skill based, but also can still generate a bit of revenues if some people want to, in a way, buy their way in. It wouldn't really be buying their way in though, because you even if you buy some more tries, you still need to defeat top players at one point if you want to pass through. So um, there's a point to which it wouldn't really allow you to go a lot higher than anyone. Um, but that's roughly the concept I can think of, mostly because I know this from another game that I worked on. And in a challenge like this, we could definitely have everyone. I mean, for a challenge like this to exist, you need people to have the same units, right? So the last time we were talking about doing these kind of challenges with maybe restricting to only a, only a certain amount of units that you can use, or maybe only a certain number of points, or maybe you cannot use the common units. only the the rare and legendaries are available, or there can be a lot of different challenges like this. But the idea is those challenges would need to be players versus player to make it interesting and fun. That's the way I could see something like this. That being said, a mode like this, which would be super cool, I don't see it happening until at least somewhere next year, because that would probably come after the Clan Wars. The only way I could see something like this happening earlier is if we see that we need even more work than expected for the Clan Wars, and we decide to go into such challenges. But then we could also rework a challenge system like this to make it a clan war, right? Because if you think of a challenge system like this, we could imagine that the people you're fighting against are only people from the clans that you are going to face for that specific week, and that basically the players that collected the more points in the different challenges that would come during the event um, are the will be the team that ends up winning against the other one, right? So there could be ways we could rework that to kind of be a clan wars if really that was a problem we were facing. But yeah, that's roughly what I could say about this in general. Okay, guys, do you have other questions? Because we are almost done already for the day. If I look at this, yeah, we have around 8 or 9 players left, so it's gonna go quite fast. So if you guys have other questions you want to ask, it's the perfect time to do so. No questions, guys? Are we already there yet? We met the point where you guys have nothing else to tell me anymore. By the way, you chased the storm. It didn't start. Okay, no, I'm wrong. It's completely raining, but not as crazily as earlier. So that's a positive point. You've already asked your fair share of questions. That's true, Madrima. That's true. But I'm not gonna complain. I'm not gonna complain. That's it's always better for me if the streams are full of questions, and especially today talking about game design in general, and even talking about stuff outside of just Battle Legion or even just mobile gaming. It's always fun. It's always interesting. On my side, if you want, I can tell you that out of the news of this week in the video game industry, I'm super hyped about the new Zelda game, which is based on the graphical engine of the Link's Awakening remake on the Switch. And I think this new Zelda game, where you are actually playing Zelda for once, and that is based more on a puzzle game mechanic. It seems super interesting. I'm super hyped about it. And it still confirms the fact that the Switch will be probably remembered as having the best number of Zelda games of any Nintendo software hardware, rather, any Nintendo hardware and console so far. So yeah, quite exciting. Quite excited about this one. Still waiting for Hades 2. I'm a huge fan of Hades. I didn't play the early access version, and I'm not gonna, because I don't want to spoil myself out of the pleasure of discovering it. Madrima, last question. We have 93 units currently. You say there's a celebration of some kind for the 100 units, so we have at least 7 units to come. Anything you can tease? Um, Not too much. Uh, my I don't even know for sure yet which unit will be the 100th. My bet, my personal bet, I'm not saying it's gonna be the case, but my personal bet is either a dragon that we're lacking, because there are a few dragons that are lacking, or something quite spectacular and majestuous. So, something really extraordinary that we haven't seen before. Maybe something a bit bigger on screen, something um, of this sort. Maybe something that would cost more army points and is way more powerful as well. So that there's a new strategy of, how do you use your army points? Not that there's a unit with 4 points now, for example. That's something we can think of. Yes, I know it's the last fight. This time I saw it. At least Mathruma. Flamer Gamer, you're saying that in Clash Royale, in the Grand Challenges, everyone stuffs is the same level, and you got to get 12 wins, and you can lose. This is exactly the concept I'm referring to. I don't remember it specifically from Clash Royale because I haven't played Clash Royale in pretty much after the first month of the release. But I know that from other games as well that are using this exact mechanism. Um, and the idea that I was mentioning earlier is that potentially, if we really wanted to, we could take this system and also make it of a clan system. Because you could also say that each of the victories you have is giving you some points, and we look at the clans, and there's a clan leaderboards based on that. That would be the really easy way to do it. The more interesting way of doing it would be that the challenge mechanism, once it's in place, once we have it in the game, we could use the challenges as a way to do a fight, a clan war, where you take the challenges and all you have to do is make a challenge where you're facing players from the opposite clan. And so, what would then happen, I guess, is that there would be multiple challenges that are offered to you and to your opposite clan as well. And each player can tackle some of the challenges. Different completion scenario would grant you different rewards. You would be facing your opponents, and also you would have to be facing some bots for the times where there's no opponent available. So that's the downside I could see to it. But that's one way we could make it look a bit more like a clan wars. But yeah, that's exactly the type of system I was referring to for challenges in general. Okay, guys, so that's basically it for the fight night. I'm gonna grant the rewards right away. There we go. Um, Tomorrow there will be um, the announcement, first of all, for the new leagues so that you guys get the main information. I already shared everything that will be shared tomorrow, but this way everyone else gets the news. And then tomorrow there will also be the recorded fight night for everyone that was registered but not in this fight night. I didn't forget you. There were just too many people registered for today. You will be part of the recorded fight night, which will be recorded tomorrow, roughly at 5 p.m. And that should be it for now. Thank you to you, Matrima, for the stream because you also helped making it fun, just like Flamer Gamer and all the other people that were in the chat today. Thank you, guys. And yeah, we'll see each other very soon. Have a wonderful evening, and I hope that the storm will get quieter. Thank you again, and we'll talk to each other soon. Bye.